left-hand side. First is called a report view. Now, what is a report view? This is where you will create your visuals. This is where you create your dashboard. Okay. Under report view, we have these icons, which is data. What does data have? It will have the tables that we load, and then we will be able to work with the columns of those tables. Then we have something called build. What does this build have? It has the charts that Power BI already has. These are the basic charts that Power BI, inbuilt charts of Power BI are there. Then we have format, because creating visuals is not enough. We have to make the visuals more understandable by probably formatting. We might use conditional formatting, the formatting based on certain values, changing the colors, making it neat and clean, things like getting rid of the grid lines, getting rid of the labels sometimes. So all this will be done under formatting. So under report view, these are the three main tabs that you will be working with. Plus we have filters. So you will be working in today's workshop in filters, in data, in build, in format, all these four panels you will be working with. Second is a table view. Right now, everything is blank because you have not loaded any data. What is the usage of a table view? Once you load your tables, when you click on a certain table, the data of that table appears over here, just like how you will see it in Excel. Right? A structured data with the columns and then the values flowing in the columns. Third is the data model. And this pretty much is the engine behind the entire Power BI. I work with a lot of companies and I'm building dashboards for these organizations. And trust me, I have not come across any organization which had only one single table from where they were trying to retrieve or get any kind of insights. Typically, we end up creating from one table also, we end up creating a lot of master tables. We end up having multiple tables to work with. And that's where your data models come into picture. So data modeling is the engine behind the working. It makes our life easier to work with multiple tables over here. Right? So these three things are there. Now let's start loading the data so that we can also see something which is called Power Query. So the data set I have shared with you, these are all Excel worksheets. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and start loading. You can click over here, import data from Excel. However, I want to show you that there is limitless opportunities to connect your data with various different type of data sets. Like I have worked with PDFs, with XMLs, with JSON files, with servers, and even Google Sheets and SharePoints. These are the very, very common connections that you will be working with. So under all, you will see the most common ones like Excel, CSV files, XML files, JSON files, folders, PDFs, SharePoint, SQL Server. So all are there. And when you click on any of this, like a file or a database, it gives you out of all, it will only list you the database that it has a connector with. SAP HANA is there, MySQL is there, Oracle, Access, SQL Server. Right. Similarly, when you go for online services, then you have SharePoint online lists. A lot of people have started adopting Dynamics. So Dynamics 365, Google Analytics. So rather than taking a dump, we may connect to Google Analytics directly, Adobe Analytics directly, get data from them and start working with our dashboard. Put a refresh at the backend. Right. In our case, we are taking it very simple in today's workshop. We are going to pick Excel workbook. So once you click on your Excel workbook and click on connect, you will go to the place where you have downloaded your data sets. And let's start with let's start with the AI assessment. The first window, click open. So since this is an Excel workbook, one workbook may have many sheets. So what appears over here would be all the sheets that you have in that particular workbook. So you may pick and choose the tables you want to pick from each of the sheet. In our case, There is only one sheet in one workbook. Hence, you see only one particular worksheet called AI assessment. I've selected it over here. And there are two options at the bottom, load and transform. What is load? Load will directly take the data and you can start working with it, which is not advisable. Because before we start building our visuals and working on our functions in DAX, we would like to make sure my data is clean. There are no missing values. I want to make sure if some transformations are required, new columns will have to be created for a better analysis and insight. Or sometimes, we are trying to do unpivoting, converting the columns into one single column for a better analysis. Then we always should go to transform. So once you selected your sheet, go to transform. And now we're going to enter into another screen. So this screen is called Power Query. And the other screen of Power BI is also there. So I would request everyone to load the first sheet and let me know when you're ready. I hope everybody has Power BI downloaded. I want every workshop that I take, my intention is hands-on along with the workshop. Otherwise, it's all theory. You don't really learn anything. You don't take away a good knowledge after the workshops end. How many of you are working in this workshop? Like in the sense you are going to be working along with me? If you can say yes, I get a better idea of how many people I have to wait for before I do the other step. How many of you are working along with me in this workshop? Are using?
Ma'am, please wait for some time.
Okay. And speaker also on mute. Can we move on?
Yes.
Okay. So now in this window, now this window is Power Query. Once again, I want to mute everyone. Okay. So this is Power Query. Is my voice echoing? Give me one quick second. Okay. So this window is called Power Query. This is where we do all the cleaning of the data. So on the left hand side over here, you will see this is the query. Queries are what? Whatever data you guys are loading, that will start appearing over here. Till now, we have loaded only one table, which is AI assessment. And over here, we are able to see the data of AI assessment table. On the top over here, this is where the codes are written. What do you mean by that? Every step that we take under Power Query gets generated under applied step. And what is this? This language is M code. So we it's good to have a knowledge of M code, but it's not that without M code knowledge, you will not be able to make a dashboard at all. But yes, having a good knowledge in M code can reduce our work drastically while we are cleaning the data. And trust me, in my experience, I had read it a lot of time. Sometimes I was like, no, that's not possible. 70% time goes in data cleaning. But trust me, I have spent on a 9-month project, 3 to 4 months. It was a very difficult project in terms of data extraction. So for data extraction and structuring and cleaning to make it ready for the dashboard took us almost 2 months because the data sources were such that we were not able to extract the data properly. It was like a PDF file of about 70 pages and 21 such files data was there. Data wasn't structured all the time in the form of a table that we couldn't pull it. So that was a struggle of 2 months just to get the data before even we started our journey in Power BI. So when people say 70% time goes, 60% time goes in data cleaning and structuring, it is truth. It is not that people are making up. So this is the area which helps you to kind of automate this cleaning process also. So what is going on? M codes are being written. M codes are written by default by Power Query itself. You are not writing it. What you're doing is, depending on what step you take, it creates another step. So every step that I click on, like source, this is the M code for it. If I click on navigation, this is the M code for it. So M codes are they're not similar to what you have seen in Excel. They're very different. The functions are very different, but I still feel, when you read them, it's not all Greek to you. When you read, it's pretty much English that you are able to understand what did Power Query do, right? And this is the automation part of Power Query. Because imagine I have the AI assessment for a certain number of countries. Let's say I collected more data. So I'll fill up the table below. I get data of 2025. I'll put the table over here, data over here. Now, when the new data flows in, whatever changes I had done on this particular table is already recorded in applied step and it undergoes the same cleaning process, structuring process. If I'm creating any formulas, I've created any new tables, new columns, everything gets repeated by itself. So when you work on a live project also, pretty much it's going to be the same way. Data will keep on flowing in, new data. And when new data comes in, I want the same processing to happen as I had done on the original data from where I created the dashboard. So I don't have to do it anymore. Like in Excel, what happens? Most of the time, we're doing a very repetitive job. We download the data, we remove some columns, we do some calculations, then we prepare the reports. It's a repetitive work that we are doing. Now, through Power Query, which is in Power BI as well as Excel also, we automate this entire process. And a lot of companies are adopting this methodology, right? And it has reduced a lot of effort of writing a VBA code. See, teaching this or learning this is much easier than teaching a VBA code. Code scares people. And now we are moving from heavy coding backgrounds to low and no code technologies. So this is one of the places where automation is applied in Power Query, right? Now, very important thing, as soon as you load the data, you will see what Power Query is doing is based on each column's value, it will try and give a data type to it. For example, country ID, it made ABC, which is text. Years, since it's not like a date, so it's 2023, 24, which is a number. So it's 1, 2, 3. Then over here, these again are numbers. And over here, impact is in decimal. So it's 1.2, which is indication it's a decimal number, and so on and so forth. Anytime you have a data which is an error, for a simple example, let's say this is supposed to be a number. Adoption rate should be a number. But somebody who had entered the data entered a text inside it. Or let's say the person did not find the adoption rate of SME for a particular country. So what people do normally, they put a hyphen. Now hyphen is a text. Over here, Power Query will capture it as an error. So this is very good place to understand the errors in our data, which I feel in Excel makes our life a little tougher. So over here we get the data types. And if you want to change any of the data type, then you simply have to click at this part. And these are the various data types that we have. Okay. So not putting any cleaning effort, like I said, the tables are very small, so you don't require any cleaning effort. But there are a lot of tools on the top under Power Query to help us do a lot of cleaning and restructuring. Now, once you've loaded one, we are going to go ahead and load the other tables. Now, how you're going to do, sitting in Power Query, we go to New Source. Over here again, we'll get the option. So I'm going to click on the Excel file and now upload case studies. Every time you load the table, two things you have to take care of. First of all, make sure data type that Power Query is assigning is correct as per you or not. Right? And number two, make sure the tables are structured. Like sometimes you will see headers don't pop up on the top. So all those things we'll have to make sure, ensure of that. Yes, Ankit, I can share it very quickly. Let me make sure the files are closed. So I would request everyone to start uploading all the 4 tables. And whenever you're loading the table, make sure you're checking on the data type. Is Power Query doing a good job in understanding my data or not? These green lines will also help you to understand whether the data you uploaded has errors in it, because the data is huge. You can't go to each and every row and check. So when you hover on top of this, if it's completely green, means no errors, no empty cells. If it turns red, means there are errors. And if it's a slight gray, then it means the value is missing over here. And it will also tell you what percentage, so that also helps you to understand, do I need to treat my missing values, or do I discard the missing value column completely? Because if it's, the rule says if it's more than 30% values are missing in a column, ideally you should not treat the missing value, you should discard the column completely from your analysis. So this gives you a very quick insight into it. All right, let me know guys when you've loaded all 4. Just look at my screen once. I loaded the data of industry. And if you see on the top, you see column 1, column 2, column 3. Are these the correct headers? Should not be column 1, column 2, column 3, right? The name of the headers are sitting in row 1. Industry ID, industry name, industry sector. So if I take this, it will be a problem because I don't know what is in column 1, column 2. Working with the data will be wrong and difficult. So what we are going to do, in case you guys also had this thing or will have this thing in industries, what we do is under the home tab, you have this particular option which says used first row as headers. So this is my first row. I want to make sure this is the header for my table. So I'm going to promote my headers. As soon as you do that, you will see it has added a step of promote headers and then again looked at the data type. Just checking if there is any error. There is not any error. Give me a go, guys, when you have uploaded it. Ankit done, Chinmoy done. Others? Ankita, Debashish, Dipesh, Disha, Dia, Gauri, Jaita, Manik, Mukesh, Pranta Das Gupta, Rahul, Rishabh, Sonali. All right, perfect. So we can move on. Now, once we have loaded the data over here, we check the data for the proper data types. If we had to create new columns, we would have created over here. All the data transformation happens here. Once we are ready, under home, we are going to click on close and apply. Close and apply does what? Closes this window, and whatever changes you have made to each and every table, it will apply that change to your tables. So once you close and apply, you will see a window will open up where it will start to show the loading of the data. And now again, if by chance some errors are there, then it will pop up during the loading itself. Then it indicates, okay, in this table, this is the kind of error I'm looking at. So we go back to Power Query and look at that particular table, figure out why the error came. If a fix can be done, we fix it. If we have to remove it, we remove it, and so on and so forth. Right? So the data, unless the data does not have any error, it will not give you a successful loading message. So step one was to connect. Step two was to go to Power Query, clean transform, right? And step three is going to be data modeling. Now, before we move to the world of data modeling, let's just understand, to make it very easy for us, how a data modeling is done. Okay. Or what do you mean by data modeling to begin with? So, what is data modeling? Data modeling means connecting multiple tables via relationships. Now, why do I need this? In today's time, be it any business, you will not see that the data is being stored. You will not see that the data is being stored in one single table. We have a lot of issues in storing data. It may be integrity of the data. It may be the integrity of the data, everything taking that into consideration. All information is stored in different tables. Now, when we do analysis, let's take a very small example. Let's say when you're doing an analysis, 1 second. Retail store makes a lot of easier data sets, make it very easy for you guys to understand. Let's say I have a table where I am recording my sales. I have another table where I'm storing all my product information. Then I have another table where I have my customer information, right? So the way it happens is that each table would have information regarding this particular main theme, around the main theme only. So customer table may have things like something like a customer ID, which can uniquely identify the customer. It may have the name of the customer, the phone number, the email address, the address of the customer, the essential things that I require to identify one single customer. Similarly, in the product table, I may have something like a product ID, which uniquely identifies my product. Like if I say product ID 1, it means a certain product only for the organization. Then I may have things like a product name. I may have the price. I may have the cost, and so on and so forth, right? Then I have the sales table. Sales table is what? This is a transaction table. So it will have like an order ID. It will have the order date, right? Then along with it, we also need to know who bought it. So I'll have a customer ID. I need to know what the person bought. So I'll have a product ID. So over here, I have ID and over here, I have product ID. Now think about a scenario where I want to send a customized email to my customers based on their past history of buying from my business. I want to send a very customized email to the customer where I have the past history, where I can see the past history of the what the person has bought. Because a lot of money goes into marketing. And now we are sitting in the time when we don't want to take very intuitive decisions for the business, but we make data driven decisions for the businesses. So if I know that a customer has a habit of buying certain products from my uh, business, what is my opportunity? My opportunity number one is cross sell him certain products which fits his profile to grow my, what do you say, the product line that he or she is buying. Second opportunity is, let's say the person has not bought the same product from me for, let's say, a month. So I might put a little bit discount on that product and send in the emailer to get the customer back into the business. So how will we do this? In the customer table, we don't know what this customer bought. The name of the product is sitting here. The price of the product is sitting in the product table. What a current customer bought is sitting in the sales table. Now, to do this output, that customer wise product bought and the frequency and the last purchase date, I will need all the three tables together. Then only I'll be able to give that output to my business. Make sense? So, how do we do that? So, we connect the tables, we relate the tables. And when you're relating the tables, the way we do it is through some common keys. If you know Excel and you worked with VLOOKUPs, VLOOKUP is the same process. What happens in VLOOKUP? You say lookup value. What is this lookup value? It's a common key between the two tables which you're trying to connect. So in this case, I will connect sales and product with the product ID. I will connect the sales and customer with the customer ID. And once I've created this relationship, this is called a data model, then I will enable myself to pick information from one table and another table and do the analysis. So this is what a data model is all about. Having tables, connecting them through some common fields. Right? Now the table is hiding behind my diagram, but pretty much it's the same story that I told you using a retail store. Now, when you are starting with data model, again, something that people think they are very easy to understand and work with, but data models are the engine behind a good dashboard. So the more you understand about data models, the better it is, the better work you will be doing. So we are first going to classify our tables as a fact table and a data table. Now, what is a fact table? Fact tables or data tables are the ones which have unique values. What do you mean by that? Any table in which either one column or a combination of more than one column can create a unique list of values which helps us to identify the row uniquely. Like I said, product ID. If I say product ID 1, this is a universal definition for the business. What is product ID 1? So when I say product ID 1, it might be a cup, right? Everybody knows exactly which cup is product ID 1. A cup with a logo. And this is a cost, this is a price. So data tables are what? Data tables are the one where your one column or combination of a column together creates a unique value. Example, something like a territory table, right? Now over here, you will see I have got a key called sales territory key. In this particular table, there is no value which is repeating itself. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Unique. And if I say territory number 5, it means I'm talking about United States, North America, Southeast region. So it uniquely identifies my entire record. So something like this is called a data table. Now, what is a fact table? Fact table always have multiple values in it. They are mostly like a transactional tables. Let me remove the drawing. Okay, so this is your fact table. Now, what is there? There's an order date. Order date is going to be in multiples. How come it's in multiples? How to delete the table in case it has taken how to delete the table in case taken a wrong table. In Power BI, I'll explain to you. Let's just get done with fact and data, then I'll talk about this. Okay, so over here we have an order date. What is an order date? Is when you place an order. So imagine, is it ever going to be the case, hopefully not for a business, that you will have only one order in one day? Not possible. Hopefully not possible. Stock date is the date when a particular inventory was stocked. Again, you don't stock one inventory in a day. So this also is going to be a repetition. Now, order number is also going to be a repetition, and this becomes a question mark for a lot of people that how come order number be not unique? So imagine you went to Spencer's, you bought a pen, you bought let's say a soap, and you bought a shampoo, right? Each and every one of this has a different ID, product ID, P1, P2, P3. Now, when you buy it all together, it goes under one order ID, let's say OD1. Now, when you keep a data, transactional data, you have to tell who bought, what person bought, where it got bought. Since a person buys three things, three different product IDs would be sitting here. But against all these three product IDs, your order number will remain the same. So that's the reason we say order number is not unique. Okay. This is also not unique product key. So none of the columns in this particular table that you will see are unique in nature. And hence this is called a fact table. So now next thing we are going to do before we proceed with our Power BI work is we are going to think about inspect once again our data and classify these tables into either a data table or a fact table, right? So Chinmoy, your question was how to delete a table. So you just go near the table, click on the three dots, and then you will get a option called delete from model. So you can delete it from here. So does anybody remember how I can view the tables over here in the screen? If I want to identify it's a data table or a fact table, how do I view it? Where do I go? We'll go to our table view. So in table view, AI assessment is selected. So I'm getting to look at the data of AI assessment, right? Now, I know it, some people find it very long way of learning, but I think if you do it in few things, take more time, but your accuracy and understanding is much better. So I always tell people to create table, name, classify it as fact or data, and make this table in Excel. It goes a long way to understand your tables well. If there is any unique key, and these kind of unique keys we call as primary keys, then identify that primary key and let's say if over here, right? And if you remember, I'll just go back to this slide once again. So you remember we had three tables: sales, product, customer, right? Customer ID is the unique key over here. So this is called a primary key. What is the primary key in case of product? Product ID. So this becomes my primary key over here, right? And when a primary key sits in other tables, so the primary key of customer table and the primary key of product table is also showing up in sales, then these keys are called foreign keys, right? So your data tables will have primary keys and your fact tables will have foreign keys. So by the definition, customer is a data table, product is a data table, sales is my fact table. Clear? So now we'll go back, and what I want is I would like to classify by looking at my Power BI to classify different type of tables I've loaded, whether it's a data or a fact, what is a primary key, what is a foreign key over here. So over here we see I've got something called assessment ID. So if I look at assessment ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all unique. So this is my AI assessment. So if I put AI assessment, this is a which table? Fact or a data? If any table has one or more unique keys, like combination of one or more columns making a unique key, it's called a data table. So it's a data table. Okay, this is a data table over here. So we go back and connect it. But okay, it is kind of because of the ID key, it is making it a data table, but it has a lot of foreign keys sitting in it. Let's see. Let's go to case studies. So in all these things, they have made it okay. Country ID, industry ID. The way this data set is, everything is going to look like a data table only to us. No worries, because in every column, every table that you see, I have a unique key that is sitting over here, right? Country has country ID, case study has case study ID, industry has industry ID. So all of them will classify as a data, but in the data also we'll put the foreign keys. So make case studies. This is also a data. What is the primary key over here? It has assessment ID, correct? And does your assessment table also have any kind of foreign keys? Foreign keys are what? The primary key of other table. So if you see, it is using something called country ID. It is using something called industry ID. So the foreign key becomes the country ID and industry ID. Got it? Then we have a table called case study. Over here, I have a case ID. Now, when you go to the case studies, again, I have some foreign keys. What are the foreign keys in this case? I have country ID, I have industry ID. So over here also I have the same foreign keys, country ID, industry ID. Then the third table is country ID table. Over here I have data table, and this one has a country ID as a primary key. Does it have any foreign keys? Any key coming from other tables? No, this doesn't have any foreign keys. Okay, let's move on to industries. Industry, I have the industry ID. And again, there is no foreign key. So essentially, these two are the native data tables, and these are actually fact tables just because a column was created of IDs to make them unique. But if you think about it, there is no foreign key sitting in country and industry. So this is my data table. And these are my fact table. But with the definition, if we go back, all are data tables. Now, why this information or this table is important is because when you create relationships, how will you create relationships, or how do you know which tables you should create relationships? Now, when I see my AI assessment, I see there are foreign keys of country and industry, which means that this AI assessment can be connected to the table of country and can be connected to the table of industry. Correct? If you look at case studies, pretty much same thing is happening. It is connected to countries, it can be connected to industry. And how did I figure it out? By the foreign keys. Since there's a foreign key, means I can connect it. Since there's a foreign key, means I can connect it. So my case study and my AI assessment can be connected to my country and industry. And when they are connected, then I can pull the data from it easily. So this is how you should be understanding your data models. So now let's go build it. So data modeling is done in the third tab over here. Power BI does a decent job in creating the relationships. Sometimes it does good job, sometimes it doesn't do a very great job. So what I would like to do is, or what I have a habit of doing it, I get rid of all the relationships in the first go. Because I think it's more time consuming to figure out whether it did it correctly, what it missed. It's better you do it yourself. More accuracy, more transparency is there in your work. So in this window of modeling, we are going to go to data model over here. This is called manage, sorry. This symbol over here is called manage relationship. So once you click, it'll open up this window, and I'll pick all the relationships at one time and go ahead and click on the delete button. Done. Now we'll start creating it. We click on new relationship. We know that the table of AI assessment, so we'll pick that, is to be connected to country. So we pick the second table. BI will do a good job as long as your data types are the same. So it automatically picked these two should be linked through country ID. Sometimes this automatic understanding is not there if the name of the headers are also different. Let's say over here it's written country ID and over here it was written CID. So even though both are the same table columns, but Power BI will not be able to detect this because of the change or the difference in the name is there. How to get all tables will show in data model. Automatically it does that, Chinmoy. Automatically that happens. As soon as you load, they are in your data models also. You don't have to load it in a different manner. Okay. So once you're doing this, it is showing it's creating a relationship of many to one. What do you mean by many to one? Means this country ID, like US, is appearing multiple times on this side of the table and only appearing on one time in country table. So that is why many to 1. And we click on save. So we created the first relationship. Then we go back again. Again, we are going to pick, let's say, assessment. And the second table is industries. So again, it mapped many to 1, save. Again, we go back. Now we'll connect with the case studies. We'll pick country, mapped it again, save. And the last one, case studies, industries, correct mapping, save, and close it. So if I put it a little more, let's say, so if we put country over here and so if you see, this is the model we created. Country is connected, assessment is connected to country, assessment is connected to industry, case study is connected to industry, and case study is also connected to country. So all the 4 tables now can start talking to each other, which makes our visualization easier, our calculation easier. Okay, take 2 minutes and quickly create this data model over here. Let me know once you guys are done. This is probably the most neat data model I've created till now because the tables are just 4 of them and very simplistic. Data models don't look that pretty in real life. They're pretty messy to look at. Ankita is done. Send me a screenshot. In my case, data model is not showing. Data model is this particular thing. Did you click over here? This is the window you should be in. Did you load the tables? First is AI plus country and rest. Yes. Did you close your Power Query and say close and apply, Chinmoy? Ankit, this is the relationship AI assessment based on country ID, link to country table, country ID. AI assessment, industry ID, link to industry tables to this. So you can take a quick screenshot of this. I can take a quick screenshot and send it to you guys. Hold on. So this is the relationship, capture and send. Okay. Chinmoy, were you able to figure it out? Okay. All good with you? All right. So Ankita is done. What about others? Who else is done? Done. Ankita done, Ankit done. Chinmoy doing it. Anyone else working? Abhishek, did you do it? Chaita, done. Very nice. Abhishek is doing it. I'll give you about a minute because then we are trying to cover DAX also today and some visualizations. Chitayu Roy done. Done. All right, let's move on. So our work so far recap. We connected the data. We went to Power Query. We checked our data types, fixed our headers, and if transformation was required, we would have done that. Third, we came to data models. We connecting all the data, and now we can actually start making the charts. So before we start the pretty looking work, back end work also is a lot to make sure in front end you get accurate values. So once everything is done, now we can go back to the report view and we'll start working with build. Now, let's revisit what I've created. So this is my first screen. There are multiple pages. I've created two pages. One is called country, one is called industry. On the top, these are called the KPI cards, key performance indicator cards. Now, what is the purpose of this card? It helps a person to understand the most important, look at the most important numbers in a business and understand the essence of this dashboard quickly. What am I working with? I'm working with AI, how AI has entered into our life. Has it changed? Has it improved? Have we adopted it more? So my first query was, or my first wanted to understand was, I can look at all the visuals, but I want to understand which country has adopted it the most, right? What has been the adoption rate? What has been the impact of it? So those are the three cards that have been created over here. Which countries adopted the most? China. I don't really need this visual to understand that. So most important information for a stakeholder, and I'm being the stakeholder over here itself, I get to see, okay, China has highest adoption. It has 80%, overall there's 80% adoption, and impact is about 9 on a scale of 10. So that looks like a good story, right? Good adoption rate, impact is high on productivity. So good story. Then we create the visuals. So I've created a column chart, a scatter plot, a bar chart, and then we will also work with a little bit of filters and another. This is also a card at the bottom, but it only populates or it becomes blank if there's no value. But if there's a value, then it will show you the value. So how to get this effect of visibility control, a better visibility control instead of having a blank over here. So let's start with very simple thing. Let's try to first put a background over here. Right? I have a background. I don't know if you guys can see it so well. There is like I liked it. What Power BI, what this AI made. So this is the background. You see, there's a small globe over here, and there are some kind of design at the bottom, and it's pretty much blank. Now you might see, what's the point? It's so light, but your background should be light so that it focus of a end user looking at your dashboard should be your visuals and not the background. Backgrounds are not giving me information. It's not giving me insight. Your visuals are giving me information inside. So sometimes I feel very what's the right word for it? A lot of elements in the background. So when you have too many elements in your background, your focus goes to those elements which are not adding any value to your dashboard. So as much as possible, avoid it. That's why I took this. I said, okay, I'm making this adoption of worldwide AI. So it had that AI component over here. And these tiny, tiny lines it had, and it has a globe. So I picked this. I like the light background. I'm more of a white blue person. So I picked it up. Now, how would you put it in the background? So this is your entire canvas. This is called a canvas. This is your format window. So once you click on format, you will see first thing is the background. Okay. So you can click on the background. There is a place where you can change the color of the background. Either I could have done something like this, change the color. Oh, again, transparency is 100%, right? So I can change the background color like this. Or what I did was, instead of playing around with the black background color, I give an image. So I can browse, select, and there's an image in the backend. And I can choose how much transparency I want. This is a very light background to begin with, so we can put it as 0% transparency. Okay, I would want everyone, so fit, to make sure it fits in my canvas. First of all, put a background over here. That's the first thing. And then we'll change the size of the canvas also, because I need the canvas in a certain size for all the visuals to fit in. Let me know if it's done. So pick the background I've set, fit the image, reduce the transparency to 0, because if it's 100%, it'll show you white screen because it has made it completely transparent. So make it at 0 so that we can see the background. Done? All right. Once done, we are going to change the size of the canvas. What is the size of the canvas? The width and the height of your canvas. And that totally depends on how many elements you're trying to put in one page. I would not advise have a very big canvas and try to put 20 charts on it. Doesn't make sense. But again, if I'm splitting the same uh, themes, visuals into multiple sheets, that is also not good. So when you create dashboard, and these dashboards are used by very high, senior managers and the CEOs and the CFOs and the CHROs of the company, they will always ask you to reduce the clicks. They'll always tell you, I don't want to click 4 times and reach a window. Can you show me in one place? I don't want to move. So with that ask, sometimes we have to do a lot of manipulation in our visuals. We have to increase a little bit of canvas size to fit the information they want. So how do you increase it? We go to canvas setting. Right now it's at default 16:9. We'll go to custom. And over here, width is fine for me. I just changed the height to 800. So that's what I've done in the dashboard I've shown you. So 800 to 1280 is the size of the dashboard. Right? Now, second thing what I did was, I put this window over here. What is this? This is a text box. So how do you put a text box? And let me do one thing. Let me just send you the text as well. I just want to reduce your effort of creation. How do you create a text box? You are going to go to insert. So from here, you can put images. Over here, you can put some shapes. This is a place you can put some buttons. And this is a text box. So we are going to create a text box. The best part of Power BI, which I love, is that you can copy from one dashboard to another dashboard. I'll create it below. So over here, this is a text box. We can resize it. And let's go back, select, and paste. Just like how you copy paste in Excel and Word. Lovely part about this is you can copy paste in BIs also. Between one dashboard to another dashboard, simple copy paste. Okay, so copy paste and do it. And I know it's a white background. We'll get rid of this background for all the visuals in one go. For now, I'm letting it go because I don't want to do this activity again and again. So first is our title, done. Next, what you see over here is your KPI cards, right? Now, this KPI card is a simple drag drop filter. This requires some calculation. So let's do the first one, in which I want to show which country has the highest adoption. I think we'll have to do this one first because the value is coming from adoption rate. So let's go back and make you understand why I needed to do some calculation here. So this is AI assessment table. I have got 2 years, 23, 24, right? And over here, I have the adoption percentage. If you have historical data, then it's not a very wise advice to do an average of historical data and show. What people would be interested to look at is current values, right? So from this table, if I pick the adoption rate as it is, the problem I'm going to face is, just to show you what will happen. So I can go to the data, I can go to AI assessment, and I'm going to drop adoption rate. So what it did, 443 and a sum of it. But this is sum of which year? Both the years. And do I want to look at both the years? Probably not. Until this, I would like to see current or the latest data, and then I would like to see the change, but I don't want to do a sum or an average on it. So how do I create a field which only gives me the adoption rate of current year, right? And this is where what we call DAX comes into play. What is DAX? DAX is a formula language behind Power BI. Just like how in Excel we say we have functions, these are the functions of Power BI. And there are two types of DAX that are there. One is called a measure. Measure is what? It is one scalar value, one single value. So if you guys have worked on Excel, pivot tables, what happens in pivots? When you drop a value, it does a summation. And when you drop a field next to it, it filters based on that particular field. So same thing happens in every BI tool, right? So now what we want is, what is the condition? The condition is, let's look at the table once again. My condition is that I want to only pick, let's say 50, which is in 2004, and 35, and 60, and 80, but then USA is happening twice because it has two industry ID. So ideally, I would want average of it, right? So I want average of AI adoption, but based on the latest year. So to get the latest year, we use a function called max. And to do an average, we'll use a function called average. But we don't have a function in Power BI like an average ifs, because this is conditional based averaging. So the function that we use in Power BI is called calculate. Calculate function helps you to do summarizations based on condition. So we are going to create our first measure by right click, new measure. And I'm going to put over here average adoption rate. And the average adoption rate, I'll first write the innermost and then take it out. No, in calculate, I'll have to show calculate. Calculate which expression you want to calculate. So I want what? I want average of adoption rate as an output. So expression is what? Expression is basically what output you want the calculator to give after filtering, after putting the conditions. So I want average of adoption rate. So if you see the way Power BI has the things, it has the name of your tables first, followed by the square bracket and followed by the column name. So I want this one. So I'll click here, average of adoption rate, bracket close, comma. Now I have to put a filter. So the way filters are put in calculate is, they are supposed to be very simple filter, something that will give you true and false. Cannot be complicated ones, simple true and false. So what I want, there is a column of year in AI assessment. I want this year to be 2024, right? Or this is hard coding. Let's say if 2025 data comes, then this is messy. I'm not going to go back in all my BI, all the measures and change it. So how about using a max function here? So I can say pick the maximum of AI assessment year. So if it's 2024 right now, it will pick that. If it becomes 2025, it will become that, right? So max, the year has to be the maximum AI year. and I'll close the bracket over here. So now what we are doing is we are saying we want to find average of the adoption rate whenever the year is equal to the maximum year. So it will only calculate based on 2024. And once I press enter, I will get this thing, average adoption rate. And this symbol is the symbol for measures. Okay. So just because, it might be very difficult to write formulas in such short span, I'll just quickly send it to you. Kindly create it by doing a right click and measure. Okay. So we've got average adoption rate. Now we can build our visuals. So where are the cards? The cards sit under bind over here. And this thing is called a card. The thing that we had China and adoption percentage, this is a card. So once you click on any visual in your build, it creates a placeholder. So I can put it over here, right? And now what it requires is a field to be dropped. So what I'm looking for over here is the name of a country. So once I click here, I can go to the country table and I'm going to pick my country name. So it's giving France, which is not there in adoption rate table at all, right? So now this is giving based on whatever is the first country name. See over here, it says first country. But my aim is not to get the first country. I want to get the country which has highest adoption. So now what we do, we play with filter tab. And in filter tab, we are going to drop the name of the country once again. Now, just like we have filters in Excel, over here it's giving basic filtering, advanced filtering, top N. So I'll use top N. I want the top one country, and based on which value I want based on my average adoption. I drop it over here. I click apply and we are getting blank. Why country name we are getting blank now? Adoption rate. Let's just check our adoption rate once. So it's giving 54.6. Okay. Average adoption rate. Maximum based on a country. Country name, top one, average adoption. Why blank? 1 second. Double check my work here. Highest adoption rate and top one. That's exactly what I did. Where did we do a miss? This is the same thing. Average adoption, calculate average of percentage, AI assessment year is equal to max of AI assessment year. Correct. And then I have a country name. Let's look at the models. Country name is here. Correct. Assessments are given over here. Strange. Same data. And I created this in the morning itself. Country name. I want to do it based on where is the miss? Oh, This one looks same. Mhm. All are active. Yes. AI assessment and adoption. No. Very strange because in the morning only I finished this and can't understand where's the miss. I'll just copy the over here. Strange. Don't know why it's happening. One second. Let's see if I have country and average adoption. Uh, China is coming as blank. Oh, I think I know my mistake. In the morning, I was doing something, and I think by mistake, I have deleted this. China is there. Mm, one second. From some table, I think I've deleted China. I realized that mistake little later, and I think that's the reason why it's not working. Country table. Yeah, I did the honors of deleting the data. Okay, since I made that mistake, let's go over here quickly. That's what I was thinking. Everything is the same. How come the data is not coming? So, country table, UAE, CN, China. This is missing here. I deleted it. CN, enable. China, why did I delete you? Asia Pacific, economic bloc, CE. And this is 12,000. And it is 69.2. This is yes. And this is 70 and 8. Yeah, investment is 70. This is 8. Okay. Save, close, close. We go to back to our BI. And all I have to do is refresh. It's going to pull the data again. And now it's there. Okay. I was very worried how come it disappeared. Okay, so now China, you can see it's coming up over here, and it is coming as first country name. So typically this counts as the name of the field that's got dropped. So we can go to the build, select this visual, where you see this field, we can double click on it and change the name. So highest adoption country. Okay, so that's how you create a card. Same thing. So once I've got one card, I can format it. You saw this is call out value, China. The word China is a call out value. This is a pretty big number. It's going to make it 30. So this is where formatting comes into picture. And once this is done, I'll simply copy paste so that the size of the cards remain the same. And that's another great thing about Power BI. It helps you to do equal sizing, the maintain the alignment, and so on and so forth. Over here, I had dropped what? So if you go to build, the field that I had dropped over here was the average adoption rate that I had found from there, and it is coming as 80, right? The third thing that I had found was the impact, productivity impact. So if you look at the productivity impact, that again, I had to create a measure with the same style that I created the previous one, for the only purpose being I wanted to get the productivity impact also for the current year or the latest data that is there. So it's the same function, calculate average of productivity impact score when the AI assessment year is equal to the max of the year. So I'll just right click, measure, paste, and make it average productivity impact, right? Press enter. So we have created this measure. We go to build, and we are now going to drop in this data, the productivity impact, and that is coming out to be 9. Right? But these zeros are not looking good. So ideally, it should be 80 and 9. 80.00 makes no sense. Again, such things will be taken care by the format. So we go to format, we go to call out value, and underneath where you see the values in decimal places, it's at auto, and make it 0. Same thing over here, select this visual, decimal places, 0. Now it looks better. Right? So this is how you create your cards. Now comes the visuals. So first visual I have created is this one where I have adoption percentage by country. This is a bar chart. So we are going to go to build. This is what your, sorry, it's a column chart. This is what your column chart looks like, clustered column. We click, it creates a placeholder. And along with the placeholder, we will make this. And now I have to put, just like in Excel, you have values for x-axis, y-axis. I'm going to put in x-axis the country, picking from the country table. And I want to put in the y-axis, the adoption percentage, and we want the latest one. So we drop this. So our column chart is ready, right? Now the beautification part of it. So what do you mean by beautification or cleaning part of it? What I would want is for the end user not to be, going right to left and see what is this amount. We use data labels, which we do in Excel as well. So this again is going to happen under format. This is your data label. We turn it on. Now, if the data labels are there, these axes are not useful for me. So under your y-axis, we are going to get rid of value and title. And under x-axis, we know United States, China is country. So under x-axis also, we'll get rid of our title, not the values, but the title only. So this looks much cleaner, much neater. Only thing we have to fix now is the title. Nobody likes to see average adoption rate by country name. Country name should not be there, only country is good enough. So average adoption rate by country. And instead of saying average adoption rate, just say adoption rate by country. So this becomes a good chart. Okay. Sorry, I'm not giving you time to work along with me because I'm looking at the time and I think I thought I'll cover more than I could think of. But anyways, we'll at least finish this screen completely. And second chart is a scatter plot. Now, when you create a scatter plot, the purpose of a scatter plot is to find a relationship between two variables. So what I wanted to understand through this chart, that countries who are having higher GDP per capita, are they able to adopt AI much faster, or it doesn't really matter? So if you see, GDP is plotted on x-axis, adoption percentages on the y-axis. China's GDP is less, but adoption rate is much higher, versus Germany and USA has lower than China. India is over here. So that helped me to create an insight for my dashboard saying high spend is not high adoption. China leads despite lower GDP. So when you create dashboards should have insight. What are you getting out of it? So if you look at everything over here, Asia Pacific is dominating because of China. China is dominating in all the spheres. So this becomes the main insight of this data, right? So how do you create this particular scatter plot? So scatter plot again, we'll go to build. This one is a scatter plot. We click here. We're going to push it up. And now we have to give x-axis, y-axis, and you want to find a relationship between two variables based on which field. So on the x-axis, we had put GDP from country table, GDP per capita. Then we have y-axis. Over here, we had put adoption. So adoption is coming from over here. So this is the average adoption rate. Okay. Value will be country because I want to look at it based on various countries, right? Now GDP, it is taking as a sum. So we should do a double check on this country table. One country is only appearing one time. So sum, average, value, everything is going to be the same. It's just one single value. But if it was repeating, then we could not have taken a sum on it. Okay, so now the scatter plot is ready. What are we going to do on it? We will go to format. We will turn on the category label so that we are able to read them properly. We will get rid of the grid lines, the tiny lines that you see. These are the grid lines over here. Turn it off for horizontal. Turn it off for vertical. Much neater. The title is long and not nice. So we go to title and over here we can say GDP per capita in USD and adoption rate. And we don't need to give by country and all. It's pretty much understandable. Reduce it probably a little bit, 12. And now we are able to see it. We should also change the axis over here. So those axis changes you will make from X and Y axis. Over here, you can change the titles as well. Titles show up over here. It is at auto. So I'm just going to put GDP per capita. I'm not putting that USD thing because it's already on top. And this can be my adoption rate. Okay. Much neat and clean to look at. Next, what I did was I created a bar chart, and this is based on region wise, what is the per capita investment. So just like every other calculation, I wanted to make sure it's for the latest one. So the per capita investment also that is there. Where is investment by the company? Investment is country. Investment is over here in the country table. So we don't have to do any calculation. It's a direct drop. The reason being it's a single value for each country. So we can create a build. This is your bar chart. This is your bar chart. We create it. What do we need to drop? On the y-axis, I need the country. Correct? The name of the country. And on the x-axis, we need the investment, which is over here, investment in billions. And we will see what is investment in billion and the country. Clear? Now comes the part where I wanted to make you understand two things. One is over here, if you see, I've created in such a way that, okay, hold on. I wanted to do region wise and not country wise, region wise. Okay, because I wanted to show you one more DAX. So if I come back to the table of country, I have various countries, but I have North America, Asia Pacific, Europe, and Middle East, 4 regions. So I've got 8 countries under 4 regions, and I wanted to see this investment on a regional basis. Now, when you want to see it on a regional basis, I can't just drop everything and do an average on it. And investment also, we wanted to find out based on per capita. So what we want is a calculation where we are doing sum of all the investments divided by per capita, divided and then give it to the region, right? So the way to do it is, again, we are going to create a single value measure. And this time we'll use a function. This is investment per capita per GDP per capita. Okay, so we want the sum of all the investment divided by the sum of all the GDP per capita of all the countries in a region, divided and then given output. So we use a function called divide in Power BI. Why it helps us rather than just simply dividing it? Because every time your denominator goes 0, typically you get an infinite value. So to control that kind of error, we use divide function. If the denominator goes to 0, divide with, by default, make it 0. So it will not give you any errors over here. So what is my numerator? My numerator is my sum of, so sum function of what? Of my, in the country, I want all my AI investments, right? Close the bracket, comma. Then I want to divide it by sum of all the GDPs of the country. Close the bracket, close the bracket for divide. So this becomes your measure. So it will do sum of all the investment, sum of all the GDP divided, and then it gets filtered based on the region. So this is the calculation behind it. So we go back over here. We are going to change this to a region. And now we are getting the region wise, right? And this one is going to be, what did I name? Investment. Yes. Okay. So this is the output we are looking for. All right. Now let's come to the part where I have used something called a multi-row card. So this one at the bottom in this dashboard, you see this is a multi-row card. What is a multi-row card? This is called a multi-row card. A card can have only one field in it, which we used on the top. this card can have multiple values in it. So we are using it to say, okay, let's say if you're talking about United States. United States adoption rate is this, production impact is this is where it stands versus other countries, this is the investment versus other regions that it has. And these are the companies who have successfully adopted AI. What were the things in which they adopted, what problem they solved, and in which year they implemented. It's like information being passed, but information based on the country you're selecting. Okay. So what we're going to do is create a multi-row card. This is a multi-row card. Create it at the bottom and start dropping the fields. Which fields we are dropping? I'm picking everything from this table called case studies. So I want the company name. I want to find out what is the application. I want to find out what was the problem solved, and I wanted to find out the year of implementation. Okay, so dropped everything over here. Now, if I click on United States, it is coming. If I click on India, this is coming. If I click on Germany, it's coming. If I click on China, nothing else. But if I don't click anything, now everything is coming. Good or bad? Not going to look good, yeah, because it has a lot of information sitting over here. And imagine right now I've taken few countries. If we had many countries, then to be able to read this table, what would be very cumbersome on a dashboard. So what I wanted that if a person has not selected any country, let this be a blank. Don't show anything. Show the value only when a country has been selected. So for this, again, all these kind of improvement on your basic visuals and the dashboards is always done through DAX functions. So I created a visual under case study, a measure, and I said that this is my visibility. Just like, let's say, right, visibility. If is a function which helps you to evaluate a condition. If it's true, do something. If it's false, do something else, right? So if there's a function over here in Power BI called has one filter. Has one filter does what? You pick a dimension, any field, and if someone has selected any one value of that field or clicked on any of the field in a visual also. So if there's a filter on a field, so which field am I interested in knowing? The country name. So if you have one selected value over here, has one filter will return me a value of true. And if no country has been selected here, has one filter will return me false. So I'm saying if this country name has one filter, means someone has selected it, then give me 1. Otherwise, give me a 0. Simple. Why we are doing this? Because if we don't have any country selected, this gives me all the countries, which is very difficult to read. We only want to read basis of the country selected. So that's why we're using this DAX called has one filter. Once we click enter, now the visibility control will also come from this filter tab over here. So this visibility that we have created, we are going to drop filter on the visual, we'll drop over here and say visibility is equal to 1. What it means is if the visibility is equal to 1, then it will show, otherwise it will not show. I put a condition in the filter. Visibility is 1. If it's 0, it will not come in the condition of the filters and it will not show up. So if I apply filter, this goes blank. Now if I click on United States, then I'll get United States. If I click on Germany, if I click on India, but if I don't click, I have this blank area. So things like that we typically have to do in our dashboards to make it attractive and not difficult to read. Dashboards are supposed to be easy reports for higher up management to be able to tackle it, not difficult things. All right. So this is what we have done so far is created our first window. I think I was very, very ambitious in creating a second window and I thought I'd teach a lot of stuff, but we are running out of time. However, what I'm going to do is let me just talk about the navigation. The rest of the things are a working of DAX and are just visuals and formatting, which pretty much you have done it in the first screen also. So let's look at this navigation. How do you create such navigations between the two pages? So if I click here, I end up in country. If I click here, I end up in industry. And what I'll do is you all are registered for this workshop. So I'll send this Power BI file also so that the visual calculations, everything is with you. You already have the tables. Okay. So let's wrap it up by putting the navigation and by getting rid of the backgrounds that I have over here. So if I press Control A, all the objects on my screen are selected. I go to Format and under Size and Style, at the bottom, you will see background. Right now, the background is white. I want to merge it with my background over here and I turn it off. But when you turn it off, it falls flat and doesn't look nice. So there we give a bit of shadow, not so much, not so such a dark color. So we can take a lighter shade or green, gray, sorry, or a color which is like something like this. And this gives us a nice 3D effects to our visuals. And at the same time, they've merged with the background so they don't look like patches of white patches on the entire screen. So this is how you can give a shadow and remove the backgrounds, right? This one, I would not like to give a shadow. The reason is very simple. If nothing is there, I don't want the user to focus on this box saying, should I be expecting something? Like right now, nothing is there. No country has been selected as coming as a blank area. I don't bother the user to think, okay, something is missing. But as soon as the user clicks, then it shows up. So that's why I would not give a shadow in this portion. Right? Now comes the part of giving the navigation. So I've sent you the icons that I've used for the navigation. And we are just going to, just like how we had titles, we're going to go to insert, pictures. Under pictures, these logos have been sent to you. You can select and open it, resize them, push it up. Same thing I'll do with the second one. Industry. Okay. I would want the same size for both the logos. So I'll select the first one. This is 7681. I'll make sure this is also 7681. Two logos, two symbols cannot look very different in size. And adjust it. Okay. Now what we want is when somebody selects a particular icon, it should take an action. So these are also used as action buttons. So when I pick on country, I am supposed to stay in the screen. So over here, I'm not going to put anything on it, but I'll go to industry. And under that, under the format window, you will see action. We turn it on and there are a lot of type of actions that are there in Power BI. What action do I want? I want a page navigation. Page navigation means moving from one page to another page. So I'll click on page navigation and then I'm going to tell the destination. So if I click over here, where do you want to end up? So I'll just create a page 2 once. Otherwise, this guy doesn't have any place to go. So now page 2 is coming. Page 1 will never come here because you're sitting in page 1, right? So page 2, and now the action has been applied over here, right? Then we will select these two, copy them, and paste it in the second page. So this cannot have an action. Power BI will not make it have an action. Now I want to set action on the country. So turn it on. Page navigation. Destination is page 1. Now we are all set. Let's try to use it. Country, I come here. Industry, I come here. Right? So I can easily navigate. Now, when you are developing your dashboard, this is development phase. Any button that is there, when you want to make it works with control and click. Control and click. If you only click, nothing will happen. However, once your work is done, we will go to home and we will publish it. Once it is deployed and it is published, then these control keys don't have to be pressed. So that will not be a problem. A lot of people feel, oh my God, I have to remember the control key. Only in development we have to do it. But when we have deployed it, published it, then we don't have to press the control key. All right. So apologies for not being able to make you finish both the sheets. My intention was to, like I said, being very ambitious. I wanted to do both sheets. I wanted to take you through the AI part where I wanted to show you how I have come up with the titles, how I generated a background, how I generated this. But I think it's too short of a time. Probably we'll keep another class and we will talk about how to get elements from AI for your dashboard to make our work faster. Right? We'll talk about all those kind of designs tools also. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this workshop. And for any help, what you can do is you can reach out to me. If you're trying to use this particular dashboard, you're trying to create this dashboard, you can reach out to me and you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to talk about your projects and see where I can, any questions that you have on your ongoing projects, I would be happy to help. Okay, so this is my LinkedIn profile. You can connect to me with me on LinkedIn and then we can discuss any problems or questions you have. Yes, all right. So take care. You will be receiving, I've already sent you. Why don't I do this job? I am going to send you this dashboard right here now. This is the dashboard that I'd created, which is a complete dashboard. And let me just quickly send it to you over here itself. Hopefully the file is not big enough, big problem. Let's see, send. All right. So it is 3.7 MB file. It is almost there. So if you wait for a minute, it will get uploaded and you can download it today itself, see the working. There are more DAX that I put over here. And anytime you want to see which DAX are there, each table you can go and look for this symbol. So I created things like percentage change, large and small SME, all these DAX are there. So when you click on it, on the top, you will be able to see what DAX has been written. All right. So hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in other workshop. Thank you. Have a great day.